Okay, so now we have our needle that's threaded and knotted and ready to go, and then we have a ribbon. So what you're going to do is take one of your ribbons that you cut and you want to fold it about, I would say, 1/4 of an inch, and then 1/4 of an inch again. And then it's going to look like that. Now I'm folding the satin side inwards so that when I sew it to the shoe, the satin side will be on the outside of the shoe. So that's what I have right there. Fold it in half. When you start to sew it to the shoe, you will start on one side, up at the top where the folds are, go down along the bottom and up the other side in the shape of a very short U. That is how you will sew them to the shoe. You will sew one on each side of 2 shoes. Now I already have a pair of shoes that are sewn here, so I want to show you how I do it. First of all, to find out where to sew, because everyone's shoes are different, and sometimes your seam is right there in the middle, sometimes your seam goes along the diagonal, sometimes your seam is further forward, and sometimes your seam is further back, depending on what shoes you bought. The very best way is to take your shoes and fold the heel in as far as it goes, and then where that crease is, right there, where it creases, put your finger there, and that's where you're going to sew your shoes. A little bit later I'll tell you why that's a good place. So that's what you want to do. If you need to take a pencil and mark it, you can fold that thing in, mark where you're going to sew with a pencil or a pen, and you'll know exactly where to sew. Now these shoes have not been sewn down and along the bottom and up. They've been sewn across the top very fast by me. This can work too. What you don't want to do is sew through your drawstrings. Your drawstrings are in the top part of this satin up here on your shoes. So if you look at where I've sewn, I'm sewing below there. This is called the sock liner, this white part on the inside. If you can sew through the sock liner, down the side, along the bottom and up, that's going to be your best bet. These are Gainer Mindens, and the satin is very stiff and it can be very tough to sew through. But a lot of the other shoes are not that difficult. Some of the shoes, when you sew the elastic on, have a big heavy piece in the back, and that can be very, very difficult. So you're going to want to be careful where you sew it, but we'll get to that later. So when you're done, your shoes are going to be sewn down one side, across the bottom, and up the other side. And make sure that you have good, tight knots so that they don't break, because that's the reason why point shoe ribbons fall off.